Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this. Welcome back to the 57th episode of the Since I Was Young podcast for all things Heart of Midlothian, of course. Joining you as always are myself, Ewan Ramsey, and my co-host Alan Scrimger. Alan, how you doing, big man? You good?
Yeah, mate, I'm good. I'm good today. How are you?
We're not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Another beautiful rainy day in the capital, but can't complain. It couldn't have been as bad as what we saw at the weekend, but I digress. But as per, that is what we are going to talk about, not in full depth, but of course we have to run through some of the main takeaways that unfolded during the home game against Rangers, where we lost 4 goals to nil. So obviously we'll go through a bit about that. And then obviously after we've done that, we will have a preview of the next game that is coming up for the Jambos. Of course, we are away to Fiorentina in our third game of the Europa Conference League group stages. And we'll talk a bit about that. All out through that as well. We sent out a tweet just last night, actually, as we're recording on a Tuesday. To have your guys' thoughts about just basically like sort of in general how you think the seasons went so far in terms of sorry, pardon me, like in terms of how you feel things went at the weekend, what changes you think could be made, or why we've not made changes in your personal like opinion, and we'll kind of spread that out throughout the episode, and then yeah, I think that's pretty much it, Alan. Because we obviously we don't want to dwell too much on a blatant, horrible, home fucking dismal shambles. Fucking yeah, I could let you run my mouth all day. So all in all, we will get started on this. And as always, guys, if you're not subscribed to the Since I Was Young podcast, please think about subscribing. Smash the like button as always. And if you want to get in contact with either myself or Alan or the Since I Was Young Twitter page in general, you can do. It'll be in the description and on screen as always. So, Alan, I guess we can kind of start before we delve in to the Rangers game. We can kind of, well, you can kind of start us off because obviously I'm not interested. I like it all, but in terms of the individuals involved, obviously we had the international break throughout the last few weeks. I absolutely have no interest at all, apart from the odd, well, like kind of be laugh with England finishing bottom of the Nations League group. But like I'm not like wanted to joke about that, but like what I mean. So yeah, you do have a spot of news on the internationals concerning a few of our squad players, haven't you, mate?
Yeah, it's put it this way, I'm delighted it's over. I'm delighted that international breaks in the bin at least till the World Cup, which I'm
Buckeye.
not in the least bit interested in either. But anyway, that's another conversation to have another time. We obviously have some Hearts players that went away on international duty, some that left slightly later than others. Obviously, Craig Gordon got called up for Scotland again, as he is Scotland's undisputed number one at this point. Played all three games against Ukraine and Ireland. The two obviously against Ukraine and the one against Ireland. Two clean sheets in 3 games. Made his 73rd cap against Ukraine the last game. 30 clean sheets in 73 games.
That's
That,
not a
that's,
bad record, eh?
that's
It's,
impressive, to
it's
be
not a
fair.
bad record.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. He was joined for the last game by Stephen Kingsley and Barry Mackay, who Steve Clark finally remembered they both exist and decided to call them both up because lots of players pulled out with injuries and little knocks and things like that. So he brought Kingsley in, brought Barry Mackay in, two players that absolutely deserved call ups, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
for how they've played. I think I could probably make more of a case for Kingsley than I could for Mackay, but again, that's due to the number of attacking sort of players that Scotland have. I don't think Mackay's on that radar as yet. Hopefully he gets there, but at the moment I don't think he's been consistent enough so far this season for Hearts. He started very well, but he's kind of faded in recent weeks. But anyway, he got a call up, didn't play against Ukraine. Kingsley got on for the last 15 minutes, I think it was, there or thereabouts. his first cap for Scotland in 6 years. Last cap, he was playing for Swansea when he got his last cap. It's a reward for Kingsley and for Mackay in that matter, but particularly for Kingsley. Really pleased to see him. He looked good in the Scotland shirt, I have to say. It looked right, and I was.
He
Really
would
pleased
look
about
great in any shirt, mate. You know what I mean?
he's glorious, isn't he? But aye, so talking about international debuts as well, we had Cammy Devlin finally got called up to the Socceroos, the Australian national team. Went with Nathan Atkinson, or Nathaniel Atkinson rather, to give him his full name, shall we say. Cammy played. They played 2 games against New Zealand, and Cammy played in the second game. I think he came off the bench, if memory serves. So made his debut for Australia, which is great. Proud moment for him. Probably the main reason why he came to Europe was to try and get into the Socceroos team, and hopefully, they're certainly. I know I said I'm not really interested in the World Cup, but certainly Australia will be a team I'll be keeping an eye on, because I think Atkinson, probably Devlin, and hopefully Kai Rolls, if he's fit by that point, will go. So it'll be nice to have 3 Hearts players at a World Cup. I'll also be keeping an eye on Wales just because they're in England's group, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, as I say, it was nice to see Cammy obviously getting rewarded as well. We had Lewis Nielsen played for the Scotland under-21s, as did Connor Smith, I believe. Finlay Pollock played for the under-19s, I think. Don't quote me on that, but there was a few appearances here and there. Lewis Nielsen did get a little bit of a knock in the under-21s game, came off with an injury, but thankfully, obviously, there hasn't been any lasting effects of it. So yeah, it's as much as we don't really rate international breaks, and I can't stand them, to be honest. I just think it gets in the way. It's always nice to see Hearts players go in and doing well, and coming back without injury makes a massive difference as well.
You and me both, Alan. Well, thank you very much for those wee updates there, and congratulations to all the squad players that were involved in the international duties. And as far as we are concerned, thank fuck it's over. So let's move on swiftly. So yeah, Alan. Obviously the weekend's result clearly didn't reflect what we were thinking. You were actually a tiny bit like confident that this time round. Surprisingly, that's
Yeah.
possibly why we lost. But so yeah, that's 4 goals conceded at home. A red card. Obviously, there's only one answer, Alan. Robbie out. Absolutely. Get him the fuck out, yeah. Absolute shambles, eh?
Absolutely. It's his fault it rained in the second half as well.
Oh, mate, 100%. It's his fault that I couldn't find my shoes this morning, honestly. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous, honestly. It has to go. But yeah.
Yeah, it has to go. I'm getting the bed sheets out and going to Tynecastle after this. Get him out. Get him out.
Get him out, yeah. But no, I mean, we can kind of tie that in, like with some of the questions that we got throughout last night and some this morning. So obviously, one of the things that we talked about before we came on air was well, I mean, you can quote the question, Alan, because I don't have them to hand, just so I'm not getting my words mixed up. And was it? And you can was it thank the lovely gentleman that sent the question in.
Of course, it was. The Twitter handle is at I was there, but the S of was is a 5, so I wore 5 there, but I was there, I assume. It's like a personalised number plate. I quite like that, to be fair. Anyway, the question was, what will it take for supporters to stop criticising Robbie and get behind him? Now, my answer, I'm going to tie it into something that I posted on Twitter not long after the game, actually. And I feel like it kind of sums it up quite well for me and where I'm at. I think Robbie gets a lot of criticism, and some of it's fair, but I think it's easier to jump on Robbie than it is the team. And I think that's because this group of players is quite a likable group of players. They all seem to be, good lads. They all seem to have the right sort of personalities, if that makes sense. They all seem to be good guys, and you know, can you imagine shouting at Cammy Devlin? Like, he's look at his little face. Like, can you imagine booing Robbie Devlin off the pitch? Like, he'd probably cry. You know, it's. But I think, like I say, I just think it's easier to criticize Robbie than it is anybody else, and I don't think it's necessarily fair all of the time. And obviously we'll talk about the Rangers game, but you know, Robbie put a team out against Rangers that was attack minded, which
It
is something that
very
we've
was. It very
yeah,
was.
something that we've kind of wanted to see when we come up against the Rangers or Celtic at Tynecastle. It's right, you know, you see it all the time on the social medias and people on phone-ins and stuff. They say, let's have a go at them, let's have a go at them. The one time Robbie puts an attacking team out and the game plan's undone because Cammy Devlin gets sent off. Now, is Cammy Devlin's red card Robbie's fault? You know, it's all that. But I think it's a really, really interesting point. And I think there are just some people that just are not that fond of Robbie Nielsen and don't really like the way that his teams play. And you're not going to change that unless he wins big games and wins trophies. I think that's what's missing from the Robbie Nielsen Hearts kind of CV, shall we say.
Yeah, like I mean, I don't think they'll. Was it just to kind of echo what you said there? Like, I don't think there'll ever be a full sort of support for him, like as such, because obviously, we saw it at the end of last year. You know, when we started to lose a few games as well. Saw it like obviously was a blag in the championship as well. There's never going to be a full like mass like sort of support for Robbie. As far as we're concerned, and I know that I can speak for us as a whole, that I am absolutely 100% behind them. And in comparison to a lot of the managers that are in the league right now, I probably could comfortably say that he's in that top half. And I think like this doesn't really affect how I view him, but I think the only thing that can sometimes annoy me, and you can like sort of like it was have your say on it was a blag if you want to, but obviously, when you're the manager of any football team, obviously you have to be confident within yourself and kind of find that fine line between the confidence and arrogance as well. Now, the only thing that can kind of grate me sometimes is if we've had a bad game, if we played bad, if we got beat, sometimes he tends to like explain a game that none of us have seen. And sometimes it would be nice for possibly him to take responsibility, i.e., if that be like if the team didn't look that strong, if he didn't like if tactically it got it wrong. Sometimes I'd like to hear that from him say, that's down to me, or I didn't do this right, I didn't do that right. The onus when things don't necessarily go our way, he like it tend not be like sort of was it blamed on the players as such, but in terms of like it's a case of was it like the squad it didn't do well, the team didn't do what I mean, it's never it's I'm not saying it should fall down to him constantly, because with the squad and was it and the manager, was it the two things should go hand in hand, but at the same time it should be a bit of a give and take where
Yeah.
sometimes you have to say, look, I got that wrong, but it's not anything that's gonna like you said, Alan, to take me was it like in front of the was it of the main stand and be like fucking the Robbie out, like the kind of what I mean, so but yeah, it was like at the end of it, I don't think there's ever going to be a full support around them, but I think the vast majority is kind of behind them. So it is what it is, Alan. But yeah. So to answer your question, mate, we probably no. No. I mean, in that same vein, Alan, so we can talk a bit about the actual game itself, and again, that can tie into like a few of the questions we were setting in, because that was all kind of in the same was a ballpark as well. So, obviously, you know, as you said at the start, the team looked very sort of like attacking uh, 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 minded. Just according to what I saw on the TV, it was a 4-4-2. I've no seen a four. It was well, us play a 4-4-2 in God knows how long.
Yeah.
But yeah, was I did like the setup. Obviously, like I would have loved to have had was it Halkett back again, just to kind of reinvigorate that sort of the back line. But again, that like there's not a lot we can do about that. The first like opening 10, I didn't think it was that bad. Like there were a few like sort of crappy chances, not like you for at that time. And like you always get that sort of that like with either Celtic or Rangers, but when they come to tiny, like you obviously have that kind of that wee sort of bit of hope with a full sort of was a crowd. You think we could possibly do something here, but the opening goal um piss easy. Like I'll say that straight up. Even for Rangers, who are still a really good team, um, they made us look like absolute wee kids. Honestly, like I thought that goal was really sloppy. I can't even remember who it actually was. It's on the yeah. Was it Keo? It might have been. Aye. So when the ball like sort of came in, there was nobody the marking was it Kovac K, I don't know how. He was practically by himself, and there was no one on him. And I mean, you mentioned him last week as well. For the run of form that he's been on in terms of goals, like I mean, like it might be an idea to maybe have an eye on him, kind of like what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, again for Gordon as well to try and do something about it. Like, I don't think there's much he could have done because it was really close, like to the side there netting as well,
Yeah.
and it was quite a good finish, but yeah, sloppy as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, we've not been very good at defending crosses for a while.
And
Like you, I thought we actually played not too bad to
hmm,
start with. I thought we had, I think Humphreys had a shot.
he
It
did
was
like that was a powerful
yeah,
shot as well. Huh?
decent effort. And if that, again, it's that old cliche. If that goes in, then it's a different game from the start. But
Mm.
the thing about these games is you have to take your chances when you get them because you're not going to get many, even if you're at home.
Mm.
And Rangers, to be fair, the cross comes in from Ryan Kent, who I thought gave Michael Smith an absolute riot all day. Um, they played two wingers. They played Kent on one side and Matondo on the other,
Mm.
and they targeted our fullbacks all day.
Oranis
They gave them
Raga
hell.
too.
Yeah, they gave them hell. To be honest, the crosses were coming in because Kolach is a big guy. He's 6 foot plus. Best way to get the ball is to cross it onto him, and they did that. Yeah, Gordon's maybe a little bit slow to react, but you can't really do much about it, as you say. I think, and this is a whole different conversation, but having play in the back four, because the lineup that we went with, I know you said it was a 4-4-2. I think it as the game progressed, it became more of like a 4-4-1-1 with Mackay behind Shankland and Humphrey on the wide.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, anyway, we had more strikers on the pitch than we normally do, but it was. I just think the back four, we're playing it right now because we don't have enough fit defenders to play three of them. Because I think we've pretty much only got three fit defenders at the moment in Kingsley, Nielsen, and Civic. So if you play all three of them, you risk one of them getting injured, and then what do you do? So I I like the back three. I know the 3-4-3 system that we play has its issues and has its things that maybe don't quite work about it, but I slightly prefer it to a 3-4-3 if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, a 4-2-3-1 rather. I'm getting numbers muddled in my head. But yeah, I like the 3-4-3, but I understand why we're not playing it right now. But I just felt the back four was nowhere at it. They were not at it at all. Perhaps a little bit of tiredness from the international break, because obviously Gordon was away, Kingsley was away, and Lewis Nielsen was away, and that was our back three, if you
For
want to
you.
say that, So, and Michael Smith, as fantastic as he's been, you can't deny that he is getting older, and he will be exposed every so often, and a quick winger like Ryan Kent can do that. And I didn't think Cochrane had a great game either, but they don't get a lot of support from the players in front of them. And that was another question that I had. I can't remember who sent it, but it was essentially along the lines of, the wide players need to do more when we don't have the ball. And I think there's a massive element of truth to that as well, because Cochrane and Smith are, particularly Cochrane, is more comfortable when he's going forward. You can see that. He likes to go forward, but in the back four system, he doesn't have the same sort of license to go forward.
I
There's
kind
more.
of
You
get you,
have to
yeah.
be more. You have to be more defensively solid in a four rather than having a three at the back, which is kind of what I'm getting at. But Rangers targeted the fullbacks. The cross comes in. It's a good header, good goal. Yeah, it was frustrating to concede so early. I've used that word again. But yeah, like we said at the start, I was quietly confident about
I,
potentially getting something off the
I,
Rangers, and
I
I
can
don't know where
you.
that I don't know where the confidence came from. I genuinely don't. But I just thought, you know what, we might get something. But yeah, it was quickly distinguished after 5 minutes when I saw that goal go in. I thought it's gonna be a long day.
Yeah, you and me both. I mean, to kind of stick on the topic of the defense as well. So this next question was sent in at Rab Smith 14. His a question was, why was there no central defender and right back with a cover bought in the window? I can let you start off on that one, Alan. I mean, I know my answer straight away because that's football. Like, unfortunately, like you know what I mean, because
Yeah.
yeah, you can like about the crack on first, and then I'll say my piece afterwards.
I think it's an element of the strategy that we have, which is the quality over quantity. I think you got to remember as well, we did sign centre backs in the summer. We signed Kai Rolls, we signed Lewis Nielsen. So there was some brought in. We've just been incredibly unlucky with injuries to Halkett and Rolls, particularly Rolls with his long term one, and Halkett obviously came back, got rushed back in, and then got injured again. So I think centre back wise, I can sort of say that if we play the system we want to play and everybody's fit, we've got enough. But we've just had injuries. What do you do with that?
That is literally my answer. Like I mean, because unfortunately, was a like in football, like that does happen. Like you know what I mean.
Yeah, and in terms of the right back, I mean, Michael Smith is as dependable and as reliable as it comes. We do have Nathaniel Atkinson, who is a rough diamond. I'll say that. There's lots of areas of his game he needs to work on. Defending is the main one, but yeah, like it's one of those. If you stockpile players, you're going to have unhappy ones because they're not playing every week. Could we have done with another right back potentially? But we've also got Cammy Logan, who's out on loan at the moment, so he's a young player. So if you bring another right back in, that's pushing him further down as well. So I understand the frustration of not bringing in the players to cover the positions, but it's easy to say that when we're sitting here now and we've got injuries to those positions, because you could say the same about striker. Or why did we not bring another striker in?
Oh mate,
Liam Boyce got injured.
preaching to the choir. What do I say every summer in January transfer window? We need to get a striker. Brings in a striker, we have to get another striker. Like you know, what I mean,
True,
every
but it's
window.
true though. It's true. I mean, you can't foresee all these injuries that we've
No,
had and the effect that they've had on the team. We've not been able to name a consistent defense for weeks because we've had
no.
injuries. And like I say, who would have seen the Liam Boyce injury coming?
Right.
We then had to panic in the window and go and get Stephen Humphreys or Stevie Humphreys, who looks decent,
Aye.
but he's not a Liam Boyce. Let's say that.
No.
Which he's never going to be that. But it's easy to look at it now. That's my main point. It's easy to look now and say, "Oh, why did we not sign more players?" And I understand the question. I understand the
Yeah.
frustration.
No. Of course, I get them. Yeah.
We if like I say, if you're going to bring in another defender, another right back, what's going to happen when all the players are back fit? What's going to happen when Halkett comes back and plays regularly? whoever you brought in the summer is going to go, well, I can't get in this team anymore. You
Well,
know, so
well, exactly, and
it's a balance.
yeah, because it then falls down to if we do sign, you know, in terms of the words you said to stockpile, and then if it doesn't go to plan, then was it like a quick case of we're going back? Was it to the ways that we were just buying everybody every window? So like you know what I mean? Like you said, there has got to be that sort of was a balance like in terms of the squad like itself. I mean, personally, like I think we actually had a decent window. Sorry, Rob.
Yeah,
But no, but not like you know what I mean. Like I mean,
yeah,
I do get his point. Like as you pointed out, like if we want to play the system that we do, of course, like having I mean, in terms of the central defense, obviously you could make the case for perhaps was it Haring to possibly play was a black in that role. Obviously like you know like was it Tibic as a work in progress still. In terms of the right backs, I kind of agree with that more, and it's not to like attack him personally, but I did say this. I don't know if it was the Istanbul game, like it might have been, but I do totally agree that Smith, Mister Dependable, reliable as ever, like absolutely, like I think he's the longest sort of player we've had, like you know, for a consistent
I think you're right.
period. I think like it's either him or Haring,
I think you're right. I think
but
Smith's been the longest serving.
aye, but you know, much like the conversation we had about um uh voice as well. You know, if you're going to be or like you know, with coming up against players like you said, it can like it's none like it's not to dismiss that he's not a good player, but at some point you've got to be like right, like you know, what I mean, we've got to kind of look past was it how much it was it like he is a fan of favorite and start to probably look at life after Smith as well. Like you know what I mean, because he's what 34,
Yeah, he's
you
touching
know,
that anyway. Yeah.
like you know what I mean, you know. But we do totally. Was it like appreciate where you're like was it coming from, Ram? But again, I'll give you another sample answer as we did in the first one. That's football. So of course, like you know, we went down there. Was it 2-0? Again, there's no much point with it talking about it, Alan. But in terms of the main events, obviously we'll talk about it just now as we may as well. So obviously, if you want to call it the game changer as such, like you know, because like I mean, to be fair, up until that point, I didn't think we looked like we were going to get back in to the game as such. But hey ho, so obviously, the red card for with Cammy Devlin. I'll be honest, like I kind of laughed, like literally, like I kind of laughed, like as soon as I saw it in the replay, I let you say, oh yeah, cunt. So
Yeah.
I mean, what can you say? Like, I mean, I don't think there's any I don't think there's any real point in getting angry or frustrated about it. I mean, yeah, like I mean, who knows? Was a like the second half could have been a different story, but you know, I know that he loves to get involved all over the pitch, and I love that. But you know, I think the only thing that I can say that he didn't have to get involved, like I mean, because it was just like you know, I mean, I can't mind what two players was like involved there, but again, you know, he just comes in out of none, was it out of like out of nowhere and just takes out was a like his heel, and like you know, and it was the right decision. Like you know, what I mean, you know,
Yeah,
so like
absolutely.
again, I just like it is what it is, man.
No, I mean, people know what I think about Cammy Devlin because I've said it multiple times in recent episodes. I adore him. I think he's fantastic. I love his enthusiasm. I love his energy. But like you said, there was no need for him to do what he did. He obviously thought the ball was there to win. And to be fair to him, he does take the ball, but he also stands on the player's
Did
ankle
he?
or whatever it was. He did. He did come away with
Did
it.
he actually?
That's just because the Rangers boy was on the floor.
All right, fair
to
enough.
be fair, but it was Matondo and Cochrane, I think.
Thank
Cochrane
you.
was
Yeah.
hurt. Yeah, it was definitely Cochrane, and I'm pretty sure it was Matondo. Anyway, Devlin just comes in out of nowhere, like you said, and it's silly, but it's also very close to being perfect. Like it's just mistimed.
Really? Mistimed? He put his fucking knee into him.
No, he did. He stood on the boy. He stood on the boy, but he was
Fucking
going
right,
for the
did.
ball. He was going for the ball,
Really?
but he obviously just
really.
didn't. And yeah, but look, it's the frustration of Cammy Devlin. It's the energy and the enthusiasm of him, which I absolutely adore, but it needs to be controlled on occasions because he gives the referee the opportunity to send him off. And in a big game like that, you cannot do that. And we've seen that already in big games that we've played recently. If you give the referee an opportunity to send you off, he might just do it. You know, it leads on to a question that was sent in, which I thought was quite an interesting one. And it was from Harry Temple over on Twitter, which is at H the Jambo. And his question is, do you think we have an issue with discipline, or have we just been unlucky with the red cards this season?
I mean, Hearts in general. I'll be honest. Like we do have a tendency to pick up quite a few. Or was it red cards? Throughout was it like a season? Like regardless, who's in the squad or like or who's in charge. But I mean, we do have a few sort of um with the players in the squad that you can maybe put into that with a category of more likely to possibly get sent off as such. Like like you just said there, you've got Cammy, you've got Halliday, you've got. I mean, you could possibly put Haring into that as well. Not that he's a very aggressive player, but because he's very prone to slide. Was attacking as well. One. Well, the goal was wrong, then done. But I mean, I wouldn't say that there's a problem. I wouldn't go as far to say that it's a issue. Think right, we have to get this sorted out. But
yeah,
I don't know, like maybe just being a bit more like was it just using was it common sense sometimes, i.e. like was it Cammy Devil, like what I mean? It just
yeah.
yeah, like I don't know much else I can say on it, but
No, I can back that. But then as well, you look at the red cards that we've got this season so far. You see, we played obviously Zurich, and George Grant gets a second yellow for diving, so that's a red. That was avoidable. The two against Celtic, which was
oh yeah, it was Civic and a Cochrane now.
Civic and Cochrane. So again, they were yellow cards.
Those were easy. No, I get you.
But I think in the context of those games as well, you look at it against the Old Firm and a big European game, there's maybe an element of the players want to impress. They want to, try and put their stamp on the game. And obviously,
literally,
yeah, Devlin took that quite literally. But yeah, it's, I don't like you. I don't think it's a problem, and I don't think it's something that Robbie needs to be hauling them all in and telling them not to do it. And I think the thing is, Devlin knew that he'd made a mistake. He knew that he got it wrong. And he went off, and Van Bronckhorst said something to him when he was going off. Apparently, I read it somewhere. He said something along the lines of "You're good enough to not need to do that," or something like that. And it shows you what people think of Devlin, because it's true, But he then apologised to the team in the dressing room at halftime. Obviously, took responsibility for it at the end of the game as well. So
that's no,
yeah,
that's
that's
fair
what
enough.
you want, and it was a turning point in the game. But I think as well, we were already 2-0 down.
Exactly,
preventable goals. So were we going to come back from 2-0 down with 11 on the pitch? We might have had a chance of getting the next goal and opening it up again. But when you go down to 10 against Rangers, the way they move the ball about and how quick they are with it when they get going, you've got no chance. You've got no chance. And they stretched us all over the park after that.
Yeah, no, man, exactly. I mean, I could say let's talk a bit about the second half, but in general, I think there's a more sort of interesting sort of point that we can wrap up the section on. So this was a question, like not the exact same sort of words, but it was a question that was asked like in the same vein in general, and it was kind of touching on the atmosphere at Tynecastle when heads start to actually go down. So, I mean, if you want to pick out one of the questions, Alan, just to like again to just draw not misquoting anybody, and yeah, just was it for fire away.
Yeah, it's been a topic of conversation recently. The boys over on This Is My Story podcast have been talking about it. They've been in discussions with the club about ways to try and improve the atmosphere at Tynecastle, try and get fans involved and put our points across, because it's one of those things that the atmosphere at Tynecastle for years was a toxic one for away fans to come to and away teams to play at, and you always hear players saying, I didn't enjoy playing Tynecastle, or I enjoyed it, but as an opposition player, it's the stadium itself, you're right on top of it, right on top of the pitch, and it has all the makings to be an intimidating place. And you would hope that even more so now that we're selling out regularly. But the question, or one of the questions, there was a few questions about it, so I'm just picking out one, but there was a few that were all centered around the same thing. And the one I'll pick out is nice and simple. Adam Hill on Twitter, Adam Hill 51 on Twitter. How to fix the shambolic atmosphere. Now, I know you say that it's about when the players' heads go down and what do we do, and fans' heads go down, but I think it's a general thing. I think the atmosphere at Tynecastle has not been very good for a long time, and my view on it is because there's lots of different kind of profiles of Hearts supporter, if you will. You get your older guys that have been going for years and years and years that are very traditional and set in their ways. You've got your young guys that go along with their pals, haven't been at the pub in the afternoon, go for a jolly, maybe half pushed by the time they get in the stadium, but they make a noise. Maybe they stand, which is frowned upon by the traditionalists. And I was at the Zurich game and I experienced it firsthand. There was a guy standing right in front of me, and I was literally in the second row of the wheat field. And there was a guy standing right in front of me, and yeah, it was annoying, but all I did was just stand up when there was things happening. And there was people behind me that were shouting at him, telling him to sit down, and all the rest of it. And you need to try and generate an atmosphere. I know that, like you said, it's when the players' heads go down, but there's an excuse that comes up quite a lot from supporters, I think, where it's, well, the team on the pitch need to give us something to get excited about. And I can understand that angle, but the players have to feed off the support as well. It's a two-way street, and that's, I just think that, like I say, my thing is there's a big gap in terms of the profile of a Heart supporter right now, because you've got your families that go, you've got your lads that go to the pub and go to the game afterwards, you've got your older guys that used to be those younger guys that go to the pub and get pushed before the game. So and everybody, there's so many divides and there's so many different opinions on what a match day experience should be. Like the tifo that the This Is My Story guys did with the Busby tribute earlier in the season, there were some fans that didn't participate in that. And you're literally holding up a piece of paper before a kickoff. Like, it baffles me that people didn't participate in that. But, you're not going to please everybody all the time.
Oh, I mean, I do kind of get what you actually mean in like in respect, like was it to the fans and when the players said they go down. I mean, I do understand it is a two-way street as well. I'm only thinking on for myself, in the sense that if people, especially in the times that we're in now, if you've spent was it like your hard-earned cash, what was it? Was it to go and watch your team, and regardless of any team that we actually play, like as soon as the as the kickoff goes, Tynecastle like is usually bouncing, and then as soon as we go a goal down, it's just like just total silence. So again, I do totally get that the fans have got to rally round to try and give the players a bit of an encouragement to do something. But at the same time, like you said as well, like was it just in the verse as well? The players have got to give something for the fans to shout about, like as well. But it is was a like a 2B thing. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm not probably qualified to give a very honest answer because you've obviously been to more games than than me throughout this last was a few years. Um, so in respect to that, I mean, like what you said was about the Busby thing. I mean, like you said, it's a like it's literally for like not even that long. Just was it fucking was it hold it up? I mean, in terms of the point that you made about fans standing, I do totally get that this is a thing that's kind of coming in, like I was a back in as well. I might be wrong in saying that. It might be this. Was it this my story boys? But like the idea was thrown about to get possibly to throw in the idea of a standing section somewhere. I don't know. Was it if that's a thing? Was it like or not? But it is possibly something that could be looked into because again, I do totally understand what was it that your younger boys do. Was it like to be standing like in it like watch it and then you got your older fans as well who just want to sit down, i.e., me. No. Look, I think again, I think it just comes back to what we said at the start. It's almost like trying to come together to make it a good match day was like experience for everyone. But again, it doesn't come back to look. You're not going to make everybody happy, but if you get a majority there, then you know what I mean. Just to kind of make the atmosphere better from where I am as well. I'm gonna actually switch on a light because the days are getting fucking shorter and my microphone's falling. We're having a terrible night so far, but my pretty face. Oh, she's nice. Right, okay. Anyway, but I mean, yeah, I mean, you're not like I said, not. I think like a lot of that as well falls down to how the team's performing throughout the season as well, because obviously, like if you're on a run of bad form as well, like that can obviously impact. Was it was it the atmosphere as well? But again, I mean, I like it's a difficult one for me to answer because, like I said, I think the last match day I went to was a hefty one. Fucking body rig rose, Jesus fuck, like that was an intense one. Like I was standing all game, Alan, all game.
The other thing that's been floated around is the drum coming back. I'm not a lover of a drum, to be quite honest
No,
with you,
no,
but
no.
I'm not a lover of it. But that's just because I'm an old fart. If it's something that can be used to drum up an atmosphere, to pardon the pun, I
Fuck
would.
off, Alan. Fuck off with
It's
that
one of
pun.
those. Look, if it's, and this is the thing, and it goes back to what I said about the different groups of supporters and the different demographics and different age ranges of supporters and what they want to do and how they want to do it. I think we tried a singing section a few years ago, didn't work because people took it too far and they were getting warned by the club and stuff like this. I think that could work if it's arranged by people that know the boundaries and keep it that way. Like I'm not saying we need to have a little ultras group like what you've got at Celtic or the Union Bears at Rangers or Motherwell and their wee flags and banners and all that
Off.
nonsense. But
Since I was young. Sorry, yes.
yeah, well, exactly. I'd be leading that. No, I mean, get them again though. Again, this is something else. Like Tynecastle, old Tynecastle, with the old main stand.
Oh,
The
it's
old
fucking
section
rocking.
N,
It's fucking. Oh,
that
don't
little
even get me
stand.
started on that wee section, mate.
But that little stand had so much
Road
character, and
violence, yeah.
when you get rid of that, when you get rid of that stand and you build a new fancy one, which we had to do, let's be
Aye,
honest,
of
we
course,
had
yeah.
to do it. It takes time for an atmosphere to generate beyond that. You've got a new environment, you've got to build it up again. And they do try. That little section in, although they were quite quiet against Rangers, but anyway, we won't go there because that could be a whole other conversation that I don't really want to have. Cousins and all that. But yeah, I just think there needs to be it needs to be better. The match day experience needs to be better for fans, and it needs to be louder. We obviously, spoke about him at the end of last season, Scotty Wilson leaving the club after his years of service. Well, leaving the microphone after his years of service and going back to the sort of corporate hospitality side of things. So it's good to still have him around the club, but the new guys that are in are still trying to find their feet and still trying to find a way that they can generate something. There's been quite a lot of negative comments about some of the music that they play. It's not great. I mean, I've been to a few games and I have to be honest, it's not brilliant. But they're still finding as I say, they're still finding what works, and I'm sure they'll take supporters' feedback on and make changes accordingly. But the atmosphere at Tynecastle needs to improve because for too long, like you said earlier on, and I won't ramble on about it, but because I feel like I've rambled enough, but for the first 5 minutes, people sing the Heart song because it's the last song that gets played before the players come out. So you get to the end of that song and then it's dead, and you're like, well, wait a minute. And that's the issue for me. There needs to be I just think there needs to be more acceptance of, look, we're trying to do something that's going to improve the atmosphere. I understand your old school fan won't be standing up, waving a flag and joining in, but don't complain about it. You know, they're trying to like this is my story, boys, and other podcasts as well, and other people, and the fans liaison guy that's involved with the club as well. They're trying to do it for the benefit of the club and the benefit of the players on the pitch. It might not be your cup of tea, and that's like what I'm saying about the drum. I'm not a fan of a drum. I
No,
don't I
mate,
don't like
take
it.
that. Was it my answer to that? Was take it to any away day you want. Annoy the fuck out of them. That's fine. But like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean,
but
just to
that
have a
but that
fucking like, no.
that that brings a whole different context to it though, because away supporters, away Hearts fans are brilliant,
All right, I
and
know.
that's the element. You want to bring that home on a larger scale, and that's where the balance has to be. But
Mm.
as I say, I'm not a lover of a drum, but if it does something and if it stirs people up and if it gets people going, why not? Like, we need to try something because it is a two-way street and there's a balance you have to find. But yeah, like the players would respond. I saw it in the European games I've been to. You see it in the games that I've been at, and you see Michael Smith waving his arms about, trying to get people, to sing a song, trying to get some engagement. And that's I don't like to see that because the players shouldn't have to do that. Do you know what I mean?
I get you, man. I get you. I mean,
It is a really, really
I no
interesting
no 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 no. It is,
discussion to
and
have.
and we could probably talk about it all night as well, eh? But
Yeah.
just on that note as well, that like we would like to thank everybody for all their questions that they have sent in as well. But on that same note as well, if there is any ideas that any of the guys that will watch this, if you have any sort of ideas to kind of throw out there, I'm sure that we'll throw up a wee was it a tweet as well, and it would be quite interesting to actually see what you guys would think as well. And I think we can kind of wrap up that section there, Alan, because I really don't want to talk more about the Rangers. But we can look forward to a wee bit more of a possibility of hope. So obviously, this coming Thursday, we are away to Fiorentina in the Europa League group stage clash. It'll be our third game. How are you feeling about it, man? Because like again, like was as I said it like last week or a few weeks before, the whole sort of glamour of that team, like going back in the day, like what I mean, the, like the kind of one of the old, well, was it like the old school? Was it? Was it like Italian teams, like that had like was it with the one of the best strikers in the country at that time. Was like Gabriel Batistuta. What an absolute beast. So yeah, how you feeling?
You know what? I think it'll be a really, really interesting game. I think it comes at a good time. I know people might not agree with that, but it comes at a good time for us because we've just been pumped by Rangers. It's a bit of a distraction, gets us away from domestic football for a midweek at least. Because in the context of our group, we are second in the group. Fiorentina are bottom of the group. Um, so from that context, it could be something that we might have a go. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, and there's a really very very good Twitter thread online from somebody that I've followed for a long time. It's Giancarlo Rinaldi. He did the Football Italia on Channel 4 back in the day, and he basically posted a long, basically preview of what Fiorentina have been like this season, their key players, and where they could hit us and all the rest of it. I'm not going to quote all of it. We could probably put it in the comments of this or something. But he basically goes through it and speaks about their team and says they've not been in great form. I think they've only won 1 in 10 or something like that. Again, don't quote me on that. It might even be 2 in 10 or whatever. But put this, but their form's not great. They're not really scoring a lot of goals at the moment. So that's something when you consider the players that they've got up front. They've got Luka Jovic that used to play for Real Madrid not too long ago. But I think quite similar to us, they've had a few injuries as well to key players, so that's maybe stunted them a little bit. But we'll wait and see. Like it could be it's a really really important game in the context of the group stage. It's the halfway point when we obviously get to the end of the game. It's the halfway point. 3 games in, 3 to go. I think we'll see where we're at after it. I think it'll be a case of if we get something, it might be right. Maybe just another 3 points against Riga could be enough. You don't know to get us through the group, which would be fairy tale stuff. I've said that before. I, it's one of those, isn't it?
I know, man. I get you. I mean, like,
I want to be confident. I want to be
no, no,
optimistic.
no. Don't you be
But
confident, Alan, because the last time that you were confident, we got humped for 4-0. So go back to being fucking negative, please. Yeah, we're going to get humped. Go on.
Well, it's one of those though. Like I've said, the things I've just listed off there. They're struggling for goals. They've had a few injuries. It all adds up to we might have a chance. We might have a chance. But then, I
You
said the
just don't
same
want
last week.
to, like, say it. You just won't say it.
Go and listen to last episode, the preview I did for Rangers, because I said exactly the same thing. I said if we get at them, we've got a chance, and look what happened there. So,
Exactly, Alan.
what do I know?
Well, I mean, I think I'm in the same kind of boat as you, where, like, obviously, either way, it's probably safe to assume because obviously the other game will be Istanbul versus Riga. Obviously, I can't see was Riga getting much out of it because obviously Istanbul will top that group. So either way, it's not going to be disappointing if we do lose because not much will have changed. However, if we manage to come away with a point, I think I'd be even if we play shit to have a point halfway mark, 4 games in, um, will be 3 points in front of both the Riga and Fiorentina, if my maths is right. So, or 2 points. So sorry, no, because they both got a point each. Yeah,
I'm just going to double check because,
yeah.
as I
See,
say,
look,
it's not something I've kept an eye on because of the fact that we've not played in it for a few weeks. My mind's scrambled by international break.
my maths has always been scrambled. But anyhow, so nothing's going to change as such. Let's just put that as a benchmark.
Right. So just quickly, Fiorentina after 2 games, Fiorentina are on 1 point. Riga are also on 1 point. We're on
Right.
three.
Aye.
We've
So
we,
like so either way, like the best outcome would be 3 points, like in front of the Riga. So I mean, you've got to give us a chance. Obviously, we've got 2 more home games, which will be against Fiorentina and Riga. So you'd have to say that if we're sitting on 4 points at the halfway point with 2 home games left, like I'm pretty certain you can write off the Istanbul game because Christ, if we get anything out there, yeah, can't. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't. I'm the same as you. I don't know.
No, and
I want to say that we're going to go there and we're going to get at them, but then, like, I mean,
well, I
because,
mean,
aye.
sorry, no, you crack on, you crack on. What were you
No,
gonna
no,
say?
no, no. I was gonna say as well. Like, I didn't expect us to get anything out in Riga. Like, if I'm being, I was very honest. So the fact that we did,
Yeah.
you know,
I think it's interesting. There was a interview that Robbie did, and it was in the evening news. I read it today, actually. He was talking about how we're going to approach the game. He said that he's had his data analysts watching Fiorentina and sort of trying to pick holes in them and trying to pick where we could potentially get at them. And he said something along the lines of, so Riga, Fiorentina go with ultimately like a 4-3-3 system, two wide players and a forward. Ikone is normally the one that plays up front for them, I believe, but he is suspended for the game against Hearts. But they do have good wing players anyway. But Nielsen said, we know they're a good team. Technically, they play a very high aggressive line. Their centre halves squeeze the game massively. One of them pushes all the way into midfield. There's a lot of space in behind them as a result. Our decision will be what we do here, Tynecastle, under the lights on a Thursday night. We have to have a goal. We need to have energy, pace, and look to take the game to them. On a tight pitch here, we want to go after it and bring that positivity back again. So I think that points to Ginelli getting a start with his pace and his ability to get in behind. Hopefully,
mm-hmm.
that's something that we see. I think Gino's benefited massively from changing the system.
Yeah,
This is a player that was halfway out the door in the summer
I know.
because he wasn't being guaranteed he was going to play that often.
I told
But
you.
yeah, the
I,
changing system has
I
put him
told
in
you.
his best position. Yeah, when you play Gino out on the wing, he can do it. The consistency is the issue, but we have to. I think it's nice to see that Robbie's saying that we're going to have a go at them and try to get in their faces and be aggressive and pick the weaknesses of them. But again, he said the same against Rangers. He said we were going to go out and have a go at them, and look how that turned out. But yeah, look, like I say, when we get to the final whistle of the Fiorentina game, we'll have 3 games to go. We'll be away against Fiorentina next week, and then I think it's Riga after that, and then Istanbul potentially after that. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. Let me just double check again because I'm making sure I'm not waffling. Aye, so we've got Fiorentina away, and then Riga at home, and then Istanbul away is the last game of the group. So that last game should be irrelevant. The next 2 are huge. Fiorentina at home, and then obviously Fiorentina away.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting. But I like what I'm hearing. But I've said that many times about what Robbie says. What Robbie says and how we set up sometimes are different. I hope that we do go out and have a go at them. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff as well, so no more of this 5 o'clock nonsense. I think there's a group of supporters that are going to meet and walk to the game with like flags and pyro and singing, so that will hopefully add something. We'll see what happens with that. It's just you need an atmosphere. You need an atmosphere. You need something to get the players going, and it looks back to what we were saying earlier because this is a huge game in the context of this group. This is a huge game. If we get a win, you're looking at that going, that's brilliant. Now we go away to Fiorentina. There's not as much pressure to get something there because we've got Riga at home, and I wasn't overly impressed with what I saw from Riga, so I'd back us at Tynecastle against
Sure.
them.
Aye.
So
So
it's a big game, and we'll just have to see how it goes.
definitely, I'm definitely.
I'm
Well,
I'm as optimistic as I can dare to be.
don't even dare it. Don't even dare it, man. Well, on that very last note, I would like to hear your the prediction for this clash against Fiorentina.
Ooh, are you going to do this to me?
Of course.
Actually, something that I'll just touch on before I give you my prediction was something I meant to say previously. There, we got like you said, we put questions out to people. I posted on the Facebook group that we have about it as well, and I was sent something that I think needs to be mentioned because I forgot about it earlier. Came in from Keith Bridges on Facebook. He said, would be great if you could give a quick mention to a minute's applause that's happening on the 51st minute on Thursday. It's for a diehard Jambo, Brian Hamilton, who passed away suddenly a couple of weeks ago. So if you're in attendance on Thursday night, get behind that, because, you know, show your support. And the Jambo family, we're all big one happy family, aren't we? So just putting that out there. And in terms of my prediction, I'm gonna go for, oh fuck it, let's put the optimistic hat on. Let's go for a win. Let's go for a 2-1.
Two goals against Fiorentina.
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I don't know what was in my coffee there. Like,
oh, we're gonna
why
get
not?
like,
we're not doing the predictions league anymore.
We're gonna get
say what I like.
We're gonna get fucking shagged against the wall, mate. Honestly, no, mate. I'm kind of on the same boat. I'm gonna go for a 1-0 win. Again, I think, you know, the fact that both teams haven't been playing particularly well, was it like a few injuries here and there. Obviously, we have the home advantage. So again, it's meant to kind of, was it have that to your, was it like a managed by Hayhoe, like, you know, like, was it like yourself? What do I know? But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. And for all those attending the game, we both hope you have a massive time and just create was a like a bit of atmosphere, even if it means was it calling one of the opposing teams was it like a cunt. Just create a bit of atmosphere, like, you know what I mean.
Just get pished before you
to get pished in the I can, you know, it should be absolutely grand. But anyways, on that note, we are going to end the podcast just right there. So to everyone, thank you very much for watching this week's episode of the Sin Savage podcast for all things Heart of Midlothian. And lastly, as always, if you aren't subscribed to the YouTube page, please think about subscribing and smash that like button as always. And if you want to get in contact with us via our socials as well, you can, with everything on screen and in the description as well. So Alan, as always, mate, thank you very much for joining me on a very shitty night, and let's hope we get a result this Thursday coming.
Aye, no bother at all. It's always nice to talk about the Hearts, even if we're getting gulped by Rangers, but on to bigger and better things, hopefully.
Absolutely, and let's hope that bigger thing will be on Thursday, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, like I said beforehand, we do hope you all have a great time if you are in attendance, and we will see you in the next one. You take care. Bye for now.